Okay, everybody, I'm back again. Now I want to talk about the role of your pouch release in fork hits and hand hits. First of all, I just want to say that the standard way of holding the ball in the pouch, you just place the ball in the pouch, you put it on the second joint of your index finger and you put your thumb on top of it. Okay? Now, a lot of people will turn their fingers into the palm of their hand like that. And so it makes for a very secure hold. You can pull against a lot of weight that way, and you've got good control over it. All right? Now, there is a problem with that kind of hold, and here's the problem. I'm just going to curl my hand into the palm, and I'm going to put my thumb down. Now when I go to release, I move my thumb up, and this index finger just doesn't move very much. So it's the thumb that comes up, and it leaves that index finger alone. So if I were to do this with a pouch and ball, I would be gripping it like this, and then my thumb comes up to release the ball. What happens when you do that is you get what I refer to as a speed bump effect. When you drive your car over a speed bump in the road, it will cause it to bounce up when you hit that speed bump with any force at all. Same thing happens here. I'm holding the pouch generally with the ball well down below the level of the index finger, like that. So that when I release, the ball is dragged up and over the index finger. That creates a speed bump effect, and it will tend to throw the ammo up. Right? If I am holding my pouch to the side like this with my thumbnail pointed toward myself, and I get the speed bump effect, I drag the ammo over that index finger, it's going to throw the ball right at that fork. And that's going to result in either a fork hit or a hand hit, depending on how you're holding it. If you're holding it down here, you're probably just going to get a fork hit. If you're holding it up here, you might actually get a finger strike. Okay? That's if you are holding the pouch this way. Well, what happens when you twist the pouch? Well, if I twist the pouch so that my thumb is now pointed upward, the speed bump effect will still happen, but it's going to throw the ammo up so that the ammo will come up away from the forks and away from my hand. That's why a lot of people find that if they twist the pouch and hold it this way, they no longer get fork hits. It's because they're getting speed bump effect, but it's not directed toward one of the forks. All right. So, all right, I wanted to point out one more thing about the speed bump effect. Again, I put my ammo in the pouch and then I grip it this way. As I said before, if you are not careful and you're pulling with your fork oriented in an upward direction, and the speed bump effect occurs, you're likely going to get a fork hit. However, if you shoot sideways and you also have the pouch twisted so that your thumbnail is pointed toward yourself, now when you shoot, if you get the speed bump effect, the ammo is going to be thrown right at your hand. If you were upright, it would be thrown at your fork. If you're shooting sideways and the thumbnail is toward your face, let's say, and you get the speed bump effect, it's going to throw the ammo downwards. You can either get a hit here right at the yoke where the fork comes down, or you'll get a hit on your hand. So if you're getting a hit on your hand, watch that you're not twisting your pouch to the side and shooting sideways, because then you'll wind up getting a hit on your hand. All right. All right. So, that was the speed bump effect. Now, you can avoid the speed bump effect by changing the way in which you grip your pouch. Instead of curling your fingers into the palm of your hand and gripping down on top of all your fingers, you can pretend you're drinking tea with the Queen, you know, and so you extend all of your fingers out except for your index finger and your thumb. Now if you do that, just do this little experiment, pretend you're holding your ammo here, and now when you go to release, you can release by moving your index finger and your thumb away from each other. Whereas if you have your fingers in here and you go to move, you get very little movement of that index finger. With your fingers extended, you're not blocked on this side, and your musculature in your hand will allow you to move that index finger away. So you don't get the speed bump effect. You get a much straighter release of the ball. Okay? Now, the other thing that you can do to avoid the speed bump effect is to be very, very conscious of carefully releasing the ball. Instead of just popping your thumb off, you can just gradually release your grip so that the ball slowly winds up being held, pinched between your thumb and your index finger. That is, the ball goes from being down below the level of your index finger, with the draw this way, to slowly coming up in between and then releasing so that it comes straight off the top of your index finger rather than being dragged up and over your index finger. That will avoid the speed bump effect. So you see a lot of guys, particularly who shoot butterfly, and you'll see their hands extended like this, and that allows them to avoid any speed bump effect. Now, it doesn't give you as much strength if you've got really strong bands. That sort of pinch this way doesn't give you as much ability to hold against a strong pull as if you have a good tight grip like that. But still, it's likely to give you the speed bump effect if you keep your hand gripped in. So get used to shooting with your fingers out like this, and you'll have much less speed bump effect, and so you're much less likely to get a fork hit. Now I should say, particularly if you're shooting butterfly and you turn your hand this way so that you can pull back quite a ways like this, then you can get the speed bump effect again, because when you go to release, the ball will be dragged up and over the tip of your thumb. So you can get the speed bump effect either by dragging up and over your index finger, which is the way most of it occurs, or by dragging up from behind your thumb and over the tip of your thumb. So you need to get used to, if you're going to be doing this sort of backwards pull, keeping your hand straight rather than like this. Okay. So on your pouch release, you need to be very, very careful to move your thumb and index finger away from each other at the same time, and or allow the ammo to slip very slowly from between your thumb and your index finger so that it's not bounced up and over your index finger. All right. Well, I think that's about all I have to say about it. In summary then, what you have to do is be careful of your grip, be careful of your release. Speed bump effect is a major factor, and twisting your fork is another major factor. All right, well, I hope some of you will find this helpful, and hope that you can avoid those hand hits and fork hits in the future. All right, talk to you later. Bye-bye.